She gave her jacket to a shivering stranger, unaware he was a millionaire who would change her life. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's get back to the story. Emily had no idea what was about to happen when she made one simple decision on that chilly evening. She stood at the bus stop, trying to shield herself from the bitter wind. Her breath formed small clouds in the air as she pulled her coat tighter around her thin frame. The city was unusually quiet, the kind of silence that only comes with the sharp chill of winter. It wasn't the kind of evening that encouraged interaction, but Emily wasn't expecting much, just to catch the bus to her tiny apartment. Her day had been long and exhausting. As she glanced around, she noticed a man standing near the edge of the stop. He was shivering, his jacket soaked from the rain, his face pale with the cold. He looked lost, worn out. A sudden pang of sympathy hit Emily. She had been there before, cold, hungry, and alone, with nothing to offer but the kindness of strangers. Without thinking, she did what anyone with a heart would do. She took off her own jacket and walked toward him, offering it with a soft smile. "You look like you could use this more than me," she said, her voice gentle but firm. He looked up at her, startled, his eyes locking onto hers for a moment. "Are you sure?" he asked, his voice rough with the chill in the air. Emily nodded, her heart racing. "I'm sure. You'll catch a cold if you stay out here like this." The man hesitated for a moment, clearly taken aback by her generosity. But then, slowly, he accepted the jacket, pulling it tightly around himself. Emily didn't stay to watch him for long. She simply turned and walked away, her steps quick, eager to escape the biting cold. She didn't expect to see him again. In fact, she was almost sure she'd never think about him again. But fate had other plans. A few days later, Emily was working her usual shift at the local diner when she noticed a well-dressed man walking through the door. He seemed out of place in the shabby, little diner, but what really caught her attention was the familiar, warm jacket he wore. The jacket she had given to a stranger at the bus stop. Her heart skipped a beat as he approached the counter. He sat down, and before Emily could speak, he smiled at her. "I never got the chance to thank you," he said, his voice calm and steady. "For the jacket. You saved me from a very cold night." Emily stood there, stunned, unable to process what was happening. This man, the one she had helped in passing, was sitting right in front of her, and he was wearing her jacket. She couldn't help but smile, though the situation felt surreal. "It was nothing," she said, trying to sound casual. "Just doing what anyone would do." He leaned in slightly, his eyes softening. Not everyone would do that, and not everyone would expect nothing in return. There was something in his gaze that made her feel both uneasy and strangely warm at the same time. Something she couldn't quite put her finger on. "I'm Liam," he said, extending his hand toward her. "I think we've met under unusual circumstances." Emily took his hand, still a little thrown off by the sudden familiarity, but she smiled. "Emily," she replied. "Nice to meet you." What happened next would leave Emily's life forever changed. But at that moment, she had no idea how much this unexpected encounter would turn her world upside down. The days that followed were a blur for Emily. After the unexpected encounter at the diner, her mind raced with thoughts of Liam. She couldn't believe that the man she had helped just days ago, the one she had given her jacket to in a moment of kindness, was actually someone so important. But there was something about him, something genuine, that made Emily feel like their connection wasn't just about a chance meeting. She had to admit, she felt an odd pull toward him, a mix of curiosity and something deeper, though she couldn't quite understand what it was. For the next few days, their interactions were brief, but Liam always made an effort to stop by the diner where Emily worked. He would sit at the counter, ordering nothing more than coffee, and they would exchange small talk. He asked about her day, her life, and, though Emily tried to keep things casual, there was always a hint of something more. She found herself looking forward to those brief moments of conversation, though she couldn't quite explain why. It was a quiet Wednesday when Liam entered the diner, but today was different. He was dressed in a sharp suit, not the casual attire from before. Emily noticed it immediately, and her heart skipped a beat. This was no longer the quiet, humble man she had helped on a cold night. There was an air of authority about him now, something commanding, even though he still wore that familiar warm smile. He took a seat at the counter, and for the first time, he didn't wait for Emily to speak first. "I've been thinking about you, Emily," Liam said, his voice calm, but there was an intensity behind it. "About that night, about the jacket." She smiled awkwardly, feeling the weight of his words. "It was nothing, really," she said, trying to brush it off, but Liam shook his head, looking at her with a certain seriousness that made her nervous. "It wasn't nothing. You didn't just give me a jacket. You gave me a chance to see people differently." Emily's breath caught in her throat, unsure of how to respond. Liam continued, his eyes softening. "I know this might sound strange, but I think I owe you more than just a thank you. I want to help you." Emily blinked, taken aback by the sudden shift in the conversation. "Help me? I don't understand." Liam smiled slightly. "I've been thinking about what you're going through, and I think I can offer you something. Something that could change your life, if you're willing to accept it." Emily shook her head, feeling her anxiety rise. "I'm not sure what you mean," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. She had no idea what Liam was talking about. Was this some sort of joke? Or worse, was he offering her something she couldn't accept? Liam paused, studying her for a moment, before he spoke again. "I'm not going to pretend to know what it's like to struggle the way you do. But I see something in you, Emily, a kind of strength, and I think you deserve better than what you're getting right now." She looked at him, still uncertain, but there was something about the way he spoke, something about the way he looked at her, that made her feel like maybe, just maybe, he was sincere. "I'm offering you a job. A real job. With the Carter Foundation. We're looking for someone who understands people, who can connect with them. And I think you're perfect for it." Emily's heart pounded in her chest. A job at the Carter Foundation? The very name sent a shiver through her, but at the same time, she couldn't ignore the excitement rising inside her. This was an opportunity, one she had never dreamed possible. But there was still a part of her that hesitated. "Why me?" she asked softly. "Why would you want someone like me for a job like that?" Liam looked at her with a gentle smile. "Because you gave a stranger your jacket. Because you didn't ask for anything in return. You've got something most people don't have. And I think the world needs more of that." Emily was silent, absorbing his words, feeling a mixture of disbelief and hope. This was happening, wasn't it? She wasn't imagining it. But the question that kept running through her mind was she really ready for something like this? She didn't have much, but she had always prided herself on her independence. She had worked hard to get by, and this felt like a dream, like something too big to be real. Liam seemed to sense her hesitation. "Take some time to think about it," he said, his voice soft. "You don't have to decide right now, but know this, whatever you choose, I'll support you." Emily nodded, still trying to process everything. She had never imagined that one simple act of kindness could lead to such an offer. Could she really take this chance? Could she trust him? She wasn't sure, but as she looked into Liam's eyes, she realized that for the first time in a long time, she felt like she had a choice. A real choice. And for the first time in her life, that felt like everything. The days that followed were filled with uncertainty for Emily. She couldn't stop thinking about Liam's offer. It felt too good to be true. A job at the Carter Foundation, a position that could change everything for her. But doubt kept creeping in. She had always been independent, relying on herself to make ends meet. Could she really accept help from someone she barely knew? Could she trust him? She wrestled with these thoughts day and night, unable to shake the feeling that this opportunity might slip through her fingers if she didn't act fast. But even so, the more she thought about it, the more it seemed like her only chance to escape the life she was stuck in. Emily had worked hard all her life, but working in a diner for minimum wage wasn't going to get her anywhere. The dream she had of opening her own art studio, of creating something beautiful, seemed so far out of reach. The reality of her situation always pulled her back, but here, in front of her, was a chance to change it all. A chance that wasn't going to come around again. Late one evening, after her shift ended, Emily sat on the edge of her small bed, staring at the job offer in her hand. It was real, and it was right in front of her, but she couldn't help feeling overwhelmed. She closed her eyes, trying to steady her breath. "You deserve this," she reminded herself, taking a deep breath. "You deserve more than what you've been settling for." As she got up to change into her pajamas, her phone buzzed. It was a message from Liam. Hey Emily, just wanted to remind you that the offer is still on the table. Take your time, but don't wait too long. I think you'll be perfect for this. Her heart skipped a beat. How could he be so sure? He barely knew her, and yet, he believed in her. A part of her wanted to run, to turn away from the unknown and the fear that came with it. But another part of her, the part that had always dreamed of something more, urged her to take the leap. After a long pause, she tapped out a quick reply. I'm in. The moment she hit send, her heart raced. She wasn't sure what she was walking into, but for the first time in a long while, she felt something close to excitement. The next day, Liam picked her up in a sleek black car. She wasn't sure what she had expected, but it wasn't this. The car was immaculate, a stark contrast to her old, beat-up sedan that barely started some mornings. As she slid into the passenger seat, Liam smiled at her. Glad you're here, he said. His voice was warm, and Emily felt a flutter in her chest. The car ride was quiet, the tension between them almost palpable. Emily was trying to figure out what to say, but she didn't know where to start. She didn't want to sound like she was questioning his generosity, but at the same time, she didn't want to seem ungrateful. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity of silence, Liam spoke. I know this might feel like a lot, but I believe in you, Emily. I wouldn't have made this offer if I didn't. Emily nodded, but her mind was still spinning. She was excited, nervous, and unsure all at once. The car pulled up to the Carter Foundation's headquarters, a grand building that looked like something out of a dream. Tall, sleek, and modern, it was the kind of place that Emily had only ever seen in movies. This is it, Liam said, stepping out of the car and waiting for her. Emily hesitated for a moment before following him, her footsteps echoing in the marble lobby as she entered the building. She felt small, out of place, but also a little bit like this was where she was meant to be. Liam led her through the lobby, past impressive artwork on the walls and sleek glass elevators. They stopped at a large office door, and Liam knocked before entering. This is the team I mentioned, he said, introducing Emily to a group of people gathered around a conference table. Emily felt her nerves spike, but she forced herself to smile. Hi, she said, her voice a little shakier than she intended. The group greeted her warmly, and Emily took a seat at the table, trying her best to calm her nerves. As Liam began to explain her role, Emily listened intently, but her mind kept drifting. She had made the decision. She was here now, and there was no turning back. As the meeting went on, she began to feel more and more comfortable. The people here were kind, open, and eager to include her in their work. It wasn't long before Emily realized that this wasn't just a job offer. It was the beginning of something much bigger. She was no longer just Emily, the waitress struggling to make ends meet. She was Emily, a part of something that could change her life, and maybe even the world. When the meeting finally wrapped up, Liam turned to her with a smile. You did great, he said. I knew you had it in you. Emily smiled back, feeling a surge of pride. She had made the right choice. This was only the beginning, and she couldn't wait to see where this journey would take her. The next few weeks flew by in a blur for Emily. She had settled into her new role at the Carter Foundation, and though it felt like a dream, it was quickly becoming her reality. Every morning, she woke up with a sense of purpose she hadn't felt in years. She was no longer working a dead-end job at the diner, struggling just to make ends meet. Now, she was part of something bigger, something that mattered. She found herself working alongside a team of passionate individuals, all driven by the same goal, to make a difference. They worked tirelessly, organizing charity events, funding initiatives, and helping communities in need. Emily was amazed by how much impact they were having, and she felt a sense of pride every time she contributed to their mission. Liam, as always, was by her side. He was everything she had imagined and more. Kind, supportive, and, most importantly, genuine. He treated everyone with respect, never once letting his status as a billionaire get in the way of his relationships. And Emily couldn't help but notice how effortlessly he made everything look. There was an ease to him, a quiet confidence that she admired. He always believed in her, and with every passing day, Emily found herself believing in herself more and more. Yet, despite the growing connection between them, Emily couldn't help but wonder about the unspoken tension that lingered between them. She was grateful for everything Liam had done for her, but there were times when she felt like she was holding back. He had offered her a chance to change her life, and she had accepted it. But could she ever truly feel like she belonged in his world? The more time she spent with him, the more she realized how different their lives were. She was still that girl from the diner, the one who had nothing, and he was a millionaire, a CEO with power, influence, and wealth. Could they ever be equals? One evening, after a long day of meetings and events, Emily found herself walking through the city with Liam. The night was cool, and the streets were quiet, save for the soft hum of traffic in the distance. They walked side by side, in comfortable silence, until Liam suddenly stopped and turned to her. "Emily, there's something I need to talk to you about," he said, his voice serious. Emily's heart skipped a beat. "What is it?" she asked, suddenly feeling a knot form in her stomach. "I know things have been moving quickly, and I don't want you to feel pressured. I just wanted to make sure you're happy here, with the work, with everything." His eyes searched hers, as if waiting for her response. Emily felt a wave of warmth flood over her. It was clear that he cared, and it meant more to her than she could express. "I'm happy," she said softly, "more than I ever thought possible. This place, the work we do, it feels like I finally have a purpose." Liam nodded, his gaze still intense. "Good," he said, "because you deserve all of this, Emily. You deserve to be happy, to be fulfilled." He took a deep breath, his eyes softening. "And I need you to know that I'm not just offering you a job because I think you're good at it. I'm offering you a place in my life. Not as a charity case, but as an equal." Emily blinked, the words hitting her harder than she expected. "I never thought of myself as a charity case," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I know," Liam said, "but I also know that sometimes we doubt ourselves. We doubt whether we truly deserve the good things that come our way. But I believe in you, Emily, and I want you to believe in yourself, too." For a moment, neither of them spoke. The world around them seemed to fade away, leaving just the two of them standing there on the quiet street, surrounded by the cool night air. Finally, Emily found her voice. "I'm scared," she admitted, the words tumbling out before she could stop. I'm scared of failing, of not being enough. I've always had to fight for everything I've gotten, and sometimes it feels like I'm not worthy of the life I have now." Liam reached out and gently took her hand, his grip warm and reassuring. "You are more than enough," he said, his voice steady. "You've always been worthy, and I'm here to help you see that. You don't have to do this alone, Emily. We're in this together." Emily felt a lump form in her throat, the weight of his words settling deep within her. She had spent so long fighting, so long trying to prove her worth to the world. But now, standing here with Liam, she realized that maybe she didn't have to fight anymore. Maybe, just maybe, she could let herself be seen for who she truly was. And in that moment, with his hand in hers, Emily made a silent promise to herself. She would embrace this new life, this new chance. She would stop running from her fear and start believing in herself. And with Liam by her side, she was ready to face whatever came next. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of change for Emily. She found herself waking up each morning with a sense of purpose, something she hadn't felt in years. The Carter Foundation was everything she had hoped for and more. Every day, she worked alongside people who were passionate about making a difference in the world, and for the first time, Emily felt like she was truly contributing to something bigger than herself. But even with all the excitement of her new job, there were moments when doubt crept in. As much as she tried to push it aside, the fear of not being enough, of not fitting into Liam's world, still lingered. She knew that she had made it this far because of her hard work and her dedication, but there were times when she felt out of place. Liam had always been a rock for her, supporting her in ways she never expected. He had believed in her from the very beginning, and his unwavering confidence in her made her feel like maybe, just maybe, she could do this. But the more time she spent with him, the more she realized how different their worlds were. He was a billionaire, a man who could have anything he wanted, while she had always struggled to make ends meet. Could someone like her really fit into his life? Could their relationship ever truly be equal? One afternoon, after a busy day at the foundation, Liam invited Emily to join him for a dinner event. It was a formal charity gala, the kind of event that Emily had only ever seen on TV. She felt a surge of nerves as she stood in front of her mirror, staring at the elegant dress she had borrowed from a friend. It was beautiful, but it wasn't quite like the gowns the other women would be wearing that night. She smoothed out the fabric and took a deep breath. She could do this. Liam had asked her to come, and she wasn't going to let her insecurities hold her back. As she entered the venue, Emily's heart raced. The ballroom was filled with laughter, clinking glasses, and the soft hum of music. She could already see the powerful men and women mingling, dressed in their finest attire. It was everything she had imagined and more. Opulent, glamorous, and full of people who had everything. Emily felt a knot form in her stomach as she glanced around. She wasn't used to this world, and she wasn't sure if she belonged. But then she saw Liam across the room, his presence commanding attention. He was standing with a group of people, his warm smile lighting up the room. When he caught sight of her, his face softened, and he excused himself from the group. As he walked toward her, Emily felt a wave of relief wash over her. He wasn't just a man of power and wealth. He was someone who genuinely cared for her. "You look stunning," Liam said, his voice low, filled with warmth. Emily blushed, feeling a surge of emotion at his words. "Thank you," she whispered. "I'm not sure I belong here, though." Liam took her hand gently, leading her toward the crowd. "You belong here because you're exactly who you are," he said softly. "Don't compare yourself to anyone else. You're more than enough." Emily's heart swelled at his words. It was as if he could read her mind, as if he understood every doubt, every fear that had been plaguing her. As they made their way through the room, Emily began to relax. Liam introduced her to a few of the other guests, and to her surprise, she found herself engaging in conversations, laughing, and even feeling like she had a place in this world. The evening was a success, and Emily couldn't help but feel proud of herself. She had walked into a room full of powerful people, unsure of herself, but by the end of the night, she had held her own. She had realized that this wasn't about fitting into a world that wasn't hers. It was about finding her own place within it. As the night came to a close, Liam took Emily's hand once more, guiding her out of the ballroom and into the cool night air. "You were amazing tonight," he said, his voice full of admiration. "I knew you had it in you." Emily smiled, feeling a rush of gratitude. "I couldn't have done it without you." Liam paused for a moment, his expression softening. "You don't need me to do anything, Emily," he said quietly. "You've always had everything you needed inside you. I'm just here to help you see it." His words touched her deeply, and for the first time, Emily truly believed them. She had spent so long doubting herself, questioning whether she was enough. But now, standing in front of Liam, she realized that she didn't need to question it anymore. She was enough. She always had been. And with Liam by her side, she was ready to face whatever came next. Together, they walked into the night, hand in hand, ready to take on the world. The following weeks were filled with an overwhelming sense of change for Emily. She had stepped into a world that she never imagined she would be a part of, and it felt both exhilarating and intimidating. The Carter Foundation had become more than just a job for her. It had become her new reality, one where her skills were valued and her opinions mattered. Every day, she grew more comfortable in her role, interacting with people from all walks of life, from powerful CEOs to the communities they were working to help. However, as the days passed, Emily couldn't shake the feeling that something was shifting between her and Liam. He had always been there for her, supporting her through every challenge. But lately, she began to sense that their connection was changing in ways she wasn't prepared for. It wasn't that Liam had done anything to make her feel uneasy. On the contrary, he had been even more attentive than usual. But Emily couldn't help but notice the way his eyes lingered on her a little longer, how his words seemed to carry a deeper weight when he spoke to her. It was subtle, almost imperceptible, but it was there. One evening, after another long day of meetings and events, Liam invited her to dinner at one of the city's most exclusive restaurants. Emily was hesitant at first. It wasn't that she didn't want to spend time with him. It was the pressure of being in such an extravagant place that made her feel out of place. Still, she agreed, wanting to make the most of this opportunity to learn from Liam and grow in the environment he had introduced her to. As they sat down at the elegant table, the atmosphere was perfect. The soft glow of candlelight, the hum of quiet conversation around them, and the scent of gourmet dishes being brought to the table created an ambience that felt worlds away from the diner Emily used to work at. Liam looked across the table at her with a smile that made her heart flutter. "You look stunning tonight," he said, his voice low and sincere. Emily felt her cheeks warm at the compliment, but she couldn't help the feeling of discomfort that settled in her chest. She wasn't used to being seen like this, like someone who belonged in a place like this. Thank you, she said, trying to brush off the compliment. This place is incredible. It's so different from where I'm used to. Liam smiled softly, his eyes never leaving hers. You deserve this, Emily. All of it. You've worked hard to get here. The words hit her harder than she expected. She had never been one to expect anything, especially not from someone like Liam. She had spent so long doubting her worth, wondering if she was ever truly deserving of the opportunities that had come her way. I don't know if I'm cut out for this, Emily admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. I still feel like I'm pretending sometimes. Liam reached across the table, his hand resting gently on hers. You're not pretending, he said softly. You're here because you've earned it. You belong here just as much as anyone else. His words lingered in the air between them, and for the first time, Emily felt the weight of her own doubts begin to lift. She wasn't just playing a role in Liam's world, she was part of it. Thank you, Liam, she said, her voice thick with emotion. I don't think I could have gotten here without your support. Liam's expression softened as he squeezed her hand. You're stronger than you think, Emily. I'm just here to help you realize it. The dinner passed by in a blur of conversation and laughter, and Emily began to feel more at ease. The tension she had felt earlier faded as they shared stories, experiences, and dreams for the future. By the time dessert arrived, she realized that the uncertainty she had been carrying with her for so long was slowly starting to fade. As they left the restaurant, Liam walked her to the car, his hand resting on the small of her back. I know it's not always easy, he said quietly, but I believe in you. And I'm not going anywhere. Emily looked up at him, her heart racing as the cool night air wrapped around them. In that moment, she realized that Liam wasn't just a man who had helped her change her life. He was becoming someone she could rely on, someone she trusted with all the pieces of herself she had spent so long hiding. I believe in you too, she whispered, the words feeling like a promise. As the car drove away, Emily sat back in the seat, looking out at the city lights. For the first time in a long time, she felt like she was exactly where she was supposed to be, and she knew that with Liam by her side, there was nothing she couldn't accomplish. The days turned into weeks, and Emily began to settle into her new life with more confidence than ever before. The Carter Foundation was no longer just a place of work. It had become her second home, a place where she felt valued and where she could make a real impact. But despite everything that had changed for the better, Emily still found herself wrestling with the same fear that had plagued her from the very beginning, the fear of not being enough. She couldn't shake the feeling that she was always one step behind, that she was constantly trying to prove herself in a world that felt so out of reach. Liam had been a constant source of support, but Emily knew that he saw her in a way that she hadn't yet seen herself. She felt the weight of his belief in her, and while it pushed her to keep going, it also made her question whether she was truly deserving of all the opportunities that had come her way. One evening, after a particularly long day at the foundation, Emily found herself sitting alone in her small apartment, staring at the painting she had been working on for weeks. She had started it as a way to reconnect with her passion for art, something she had abandoned when life became too overwhelming. But now, as she gazed at the unfinished canvas, she felt nothing but frustration. She couldn't find the inspiration she once had, and it made her question whether she had any talent left. The weight of the doubt that had been slowly creeping into her thoughts over the past few days pressed down on her, and she couldn't push it away. Just as she was about to set down the brush and give up for the night, her phone buzzed. It was a message from Liam. I've been thinking about you. I know things have been intense lately, but I just want you to know that I'm here for you. Always. Emily stared at the message for a moment, feeling a mix of gratitude and guilt. She had been so focused on her own insecurities that she had barely noticed the quiet support Liam had been offering. He was always there for her, even when she didn't ask for it. Without thinking, she replied, I'm fine, just trying to figure some things out. A moment later, her phone rang. It was Liam. I know you're busy, he said, his voice calm but filled with concern. But I need you to know something. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to be perfect. His words cut through the self-doubt she had been carrying. But I feel like I'm always falling short, like I don't deserve any of this, Emily admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. I feel like I'm pretending, like I'm not the person you think I am. Liam's voice softened. Emily, you are exactly who you're meant to be. You've come so far. And I'm proud of you. But you have to believe in yourself the way I believe in you. His words were like a balm to her soul. For the first time in weeks, Emily felt like she could breathe. She wasn't alone in her struggles. Liam was right there with her, offering his unwavering support. You don't have to be perfect, Liam continued. You don't have to have all the answers. You just have to be you, and that's more than enough. Tears welled up in Emily's eyes as she realized how much she had been holding back. She had been so afraid of failing, of not measuring up to the expectations she had placed on herself, that she hadn't allowed herself to accept the love and support that were being offered. Thank you, she whispered. Thank you for always being there for me, for believing in me when I couldn't believe in myself. Liam's voice was steady, full of warmth. That's what I'm here for, Emily. And I'm never going anywhere. We're in this together. The weight of her self-doubt lifted, if only for a moment, and Emily felt a sense of peace she hadn't felt in a long time. She didn't have to have all the answers. She didn't have to be perfect. She just had to keep going, trusting that with Liam by her side, she could face anything. The next morning, Emily woke up with a renewed sense of purpose. She returned to her painting, and this time, something was different. She no longer felt the pressure to create something perfect. Instead, she allowed herself to simply express what she was feeling, and for the first time in a long time, the brush felt like an extension of herself. The fear and self-doubt that had once held her back began to fade into the background, replaced by a quiet confidence that she hadn't known was possible. Emily wasn't sure what the future held, but for the first time, she felt ready to embrace it, to face whatever came next. She wasn't alone anymore, and that made all the difference. As she continued to paint, she realized that it wasn't just about the art, it was about the journey. The journey to accepting herself, to believing in her worth, and to finally understanding that she was enough, just as she was. The weeks continued to pass, and Emily's confidence grew with each new day. The self-doubt that had once haunted her seemed to fade into the background, replaced by a quiet belief in herself. As she settled more comfortably into her role at the Carter Foundation, she found herself taking on more responsibility. Her colleagues respected her, and she felt like her voice truly mattered. But even as things at work continued to flourish, a part of her mind couldn't help but wonder about the future, about her relationship with Liam. She had never expected to develop such deep feelings for him, but the more time they spent together, the stronger those feelings became. It wasn't just about his kindness or his unwavering support. It was the way he made her feel seen, the way he encouraged her to be the best version of herself. But Emily couldn't help but wonder, did he see her as just someone to help, or was there something more? Was there a future for them beyond the professional support they shared? One evening, after a busy day at the foundation, Liam invited Emily to join him for a private dinner at his penthouse. She had been to his place before, but this time felt different. It wasn't just about work or charity events, it felt personal. As she arrived at the sleek, modern building, she was greeted by the doorman and escorted up to Liam's apartment. The view from his penthouse was breathtaking, the city lights sparkling like stars beneath them. Liam greeted her at the door with a smile that made her heart skip a beat. "I'm glad you could make it," he said warmly, ushering her inside. The apartment was elegant and minimalist, with large windows that offered a panoramic view of the city. There was something calming about the space, everything in its place, yet it didn't feel cold or impersonal. Emily felt at ease as Liam led her to the dining area, where a beautifully set table awaited them. The scent of freshly prepared food filled the air, and for the first time in a long while, Emily allowed herself to relax completely. The evening began like any other dinner, with light conversation and laughter. Liam told her stories about his childhood, and Emily shared memories of growing up in the small town where she had spent most of her life. There was a sense of ease between them, a connection that ran deeper than anything Emily had ever experienced before. But as the evening wore on, Emily couldn't shake the feeling that something was different. It wasn't just the romantic setting or the beautiful dinner. It was the way Liam looked at her, as if he were seeing her in a way that no one else had. As dessert was served, Liam reached across the table and gently took her hand. "Emily," he said softly, "I've been thinking a lot about us, about everything that's happened between us." Emily's heart raced, her mind immediately spinning with possibilities. Was he about to tell her that he didn't see a future for them? Or was he about to confess something she wasn't ready to hear? I know I've always been supportive of you, Liam continued, his voice steady. And I know I've pushed you to believe in yourself. But there's something I need to tell you. Something important. Emily's breath caught in her throat. What is it? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Liam smiled gently, his thumb brushing over the back of her hand. I've fallen for you, Emily. I've fallen for the person you are, for the strength you've shown, for the way you've allowed yourself to grow. I don't want to hide that from you anymore. Emily felt her heart skip a beat. She had never expected this. She had never expected him to feel the same way. Liam, she began, but he cut her off. You don't have to say anything right now, he said. I just wanted you to know how I feel. And I want you to know that whatever happens, I'm here. I'm here for you, for everything. The weight of his words hit her hard, and for a moment, she didn't know how to respond. She had spent so long convincing herself that she wasn't worthy of love, that she wasn't good enough for someone like Liam. But in this moment, as she looked into his eyes, she realized that maybe, just maybe, she was. I've fallen for you too, she whispered, the words slipping out before she could stop them. Liam's face softened, and a warm smile spread across his lips. He gently cupped her face in his hands and leaned in, his lips brushing hers in a soft, tender kiss. The kiss was everything Emily had ever dreamed of, gentle, sweet, and filled with a promise of something deeper. As they pulled away, Emily felt a sense of peace settle over her. She wasn't alone anymore. She didn't have to carry the weight of her fears or doubts alone. With Liam by her side, she knew she could face anything. And as they sat there, hand in hand, the city lights flickering below them, Emily realized that this was just the beginning of something beautiful, a journey of love, growth, and the promise of a future together. The days that followed were nothing short of transformative for Emily. After the intimate moment they shared, the feelings she had for Liam only grew stronger. For the first time, she allowed herself to fully embrace the love that was blooming between them. It wasn't just about the job at the Carter Foundation anymore. It was about something far deeper. It was about the trust they had built, the unspoken bond that seemed to grow stronger with each passing day. As time went on, Emily found herself stepping into a new version of herself, one that was more confident, more certain of her worth, and more open to the idea of love than she had ever been. Liam continued to be her biggest supporter, but now, their connection felt even more meaningful. It wasn't just that he believed in her, it was that they were building something together. Their professional relationship at the foundation remained strong, but the personal connection they shared began to take center stage. They spent their free time together, sharing moments both big and small, whether it was walking through the city streets, sharing quiet dinners, or simply enjoying each other's company in comfortable silence. One evening, as they sat on the balcony of Liam's penthouse, watching the sunset over the skyline, Emily couldn't help but feel a deep sense of gratitude. The world felt peaceful, the air warm, and for the first time in a long time, she felt at home. You know, she said softly, breaking the comfortable silence between them. I never imagined life could feel like this. I used to think I didn't deserve any of it. The job, the opportunity, even you. Liam turned to her, his expression serious yet soft. You deserve it all, Emily. You've worked for it, you've earned it. And most importantly, you've become someone who believes in herself. That's the most important part. Emily smiled, feeling the truth of his words settle deep within her. She had come so far from the person she once was, the struggling waitress with big dreams, but no way to achieve them. Now, she was someone with purpose, someone who had built something meaningful, not just in her career, but in her life. I couldn't have done it without you, she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. Liam smiled back, his hand gently squeezing hers. You've always had it in you, Emily. You just needed to see it. The following week, Liam surprised her with a trip, a weekend getaway to a small coastal town, a place where they could unwind and relax, away from the hustle and bustle of city life. It was the first time they had taken a trip together, and the feeling of being far from the demands of work and the pressures of their everyday lives was refreshing. As they walked along the beach, the sound of the waves crashing against the shore, Emily felt a deep sense of peace. She had come to understand that the life she had built, the person she had become, was more than enough. She didn't need to prove herself anymore, not to anyone. This is perfect, Emily said as they walked hand in hand along the shore, the soft sand between their toes. I never thought I'd get to experience something like this. Liam looked at her, his eyes filled with affection. You've earned every bit of it, Emily. And you deserve so much more. The rest of the weekend passed in a blur of relaxation and connection, but by the time they returned to the city, Emily felt a sense of certainty in her heart. She wasn't just part of Liam's world anymore. She was creating her own. The doubts that once held her back had been replaced with a quiet confidence that came from within. She knew that no matter where life took them, she would always be enough. It wasn't just about the job or the fancy dinners. It was about the love and respect they had for each other, the way they had built something together that was real and lasting. As they sat in Liam's penthouse, looking out at the city lights one last time, Emily knew that she was exactly where she was meant to be. With Liam by her side, she felt ready to take on whatever the future held. There were still challenges ahead, but she no longer feared them. Together, they could face anything. I love you, Liam said, his voice low and sincere. Emily looked at him, a soft smile tugging at her lips. I love you too, she whispered. As the night settled around them, Emily realized that the journey they had started together was just the beginning. She had found the love, the confidence, and the strength she had always been searching for, and with Liam, she knew the best was yet to come.